Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma amritam gamaya.
Esha uva Udgītha, prano va ut, pranena hidang sarvam uttabdham, vageva gītocha, gītā cetisa Udgītha. Mantra 23. This indeed is also Udgītha. The vital force is indeed Ut, for all this is held aloft by the vital force, and speech alone is Gītha. This is Udgītha because it is Ut and Gīthā. Śaṅkarācārya's commentary. This indeed is also Udgītha. The Udgītha is a particular division of the Soma, not chanting, for the topic under discussion is Soma. How is the vital force Udgītha? The vital force is indeed Ut, for all this universe is held aloft or supported by the vital force. This prefix Ut, meaning holding aloft, denotes a characteristic of the vital force. Therefore, the vital force is Ut. Speech alone is Gītha, for the division of Saman called Udgītha is a variety of sound. Gītha, coming from the root gai, denoting sound, is nothing but speech. The Udgītha cannot be conceived of as having any other form but sound. Hence it is right to assert that speech is Gītha. The vital force is Ut, and Gītha is speech dependent on the vital force. Hence, the two together are denoted by one word. This is Udgītha. Tadhapi Brahmadatta Cikitana rajanang bhakshayanuvacha Ayāsya murdhanang vipatayatad Yadito Ayāsya Aṅgiraso Nyeno dagayaditi Vacha chahyeva sapranena chodagayaditi. Mantra 24. Regarding this, there is also a story. Brahmadatta, the great-grandson of Cikitana, while drinking Soma, said, "Let this Soma strike off my head if I say that Ayāsya Aṅgirasa chanted the Udgītha through any other than this vital force and speech." Indeed, he chanted through speech and the vital force. Śaṅkarācārya's commentary. Regarding this subject described above, a story is also narrated in the Shruti. Brahmadatta, the great-grandson of Cikitana, while drinking Soma in a sacrifice, said, "Let this Soma in the bowl that I am drinking strike off my head for being a liar, that is, if I have told a lie." The suffix of the verb is a substitute for an imperative suffix and expresses a wish. How can he become a liar? This is being explained. If I say that Ayāsya Aṅgirasa chanted the Udgītha through any other deity than this vital force combined with speech, which is being discussed. The term Ayāsya Aṅgirasa, denoting the vital force in the mouth, refers to the priest who chanted in the sacrifice of the ancient sages who projected this world. If I say like this, I shall be a liar, and for entertaining this false notion, let that deity strike off my head. The mention of his taking this oath shows that one must have a firm conviction of this knowledge. The purport of the story the Shruti concludes in its own words. He, that chanter, called here Ayāsya Aṅgirasa, chanted through speech, which is subordinate to the vital force, and the vital force, which is his own self, meaning this is the significance of the oath.
Namaste. So here we are back with Bṛhadāraṇyakopaniṣad. It feels good. It's like home. It is the source of all the highest spiritual knowledge. Everything else is derivative. Even the great Tantra literatures of the Trika Shaiva lineage are but attempts to explain the Upanishads and to understand how they're working. So here again we hear this term Ayāsya Aṅgirasa. What does it mean? Well, Ayāsya means indefatigable, undefeatable, steady, reliant, invincible. And of course, Anga means a limb of the body, and rasa means the essence. So the invincible essence of the limbs of the body is the vital force. That is the one thing that creates life. Everything else is a creation of the vital force. So when we come across this term, Ayāsya Aṅgirasa, we can understand that it means prana. Prana is the living force. Now, prana is sometimes called air, but it's not the gross air, it's the subtle air. That is that psychic element or subtle principle that behaves in a similar way to physical air. In fact, physical air is derived from it. But on the mental level, it is wind or prana. See, there's a difference between the gross and the subtle elements. For example, in our body and in the world, we can see earth, water, air, fire, and space. But when we go to sleep at night, in our dreams, we see the same things. How is that possible? Well, first of all, it means that the senses are not part of the body. They're part of the mind. And when the mind withdraws from the gross body at the time of sleep, we still have vision, hearing, smell, taste, and so forth. Because we experience them in dreams without the contact of the gross sense organs. Yes, when they are embodied, these senses develop organs like the eyes, ears, nose, etc. But that is the function of the vital force. The vital force is what creates the body. And when it withdraws from the body, that is death. There is no limit to the lifespan of the vital force. The prana lives for the duration of the material universe, the subtle material universe. And when the universe is finally burnt up at the very end, only then is the vital force defeated. Otherwise, it remains active for the entire span of time. So the vital force is a proxy for the soul, the individual, the being, the life, that which we actually are. Not that the individual identity, the ego, the idea of individual selfhood is the self that becomes embodied, because that idea is transitory. It comes and goes. Just think of how you conceived of your identity when you were a child versus how you think of it now. It's completely different, right? And in the same way, when the body dies, that identity, that name and form is extinguished and does not continue, does not carry over into the next life. The next life begins, again, completely contingent on external circumstances. One is conditioned to know oneself as, this is my name, this is my body, this is my family, this is my country, and so on. We are culturally conditioned to accept a certain language, place of birth, citizenship, nationality, and so on. That's what I mean when I say it's contingent. It's more or less dependent on outside circumstances. It has nothing to do with who we really are. This is the primary existential problem. And now the existential philosophers wrote about it as if it's something we can't do anything about. But actually we can. By developing the concept of self as subtle energy, life energy, prana, vital force. That is the first step in the direction of self-realization. So anyone who does yoga, anyone who does breathing exercises, anyone who has experienced the bliss of, let's say, running or mastering a musical instrument or actually mastering anything, has known this bliss, this power of the vital force, that it can overcome any obstacle, it can adjust to any problem, it is never defeated. It always goes on. And this is what is meant by hope. So when we have hope, we have the feeling, oh, everything is going to be all right, isn't it? So in that way, life is going on despite all the obstacles and problems, disappointments and separations and, the things that go on in life. So until one realizes this vital force, one is doomed to suffer the problems of the body as if they are real and apply to oneself. But when one realizes, actually, I am the vital force, there is a detachment from the gross body. It's like, I am here and the gross body is over there. It's not my self. It's not who I am. It's simply a machine that I use in the material world to do different kinds of work. So this is necessary. This is the first step. And the ultimate step, of course, is identification with Brahma. But that will come. This Upanishad started with the concept of the sacrifice of the body as the sacrificial animal, which is sacrificed to the Hiranyagarbha, which is hunger, which is death, in order to transcend death. So when one identifies with the body, with the sacrificial animal, of course the body is going to die. It has to die so that the real self can manifest. We have to let go of our attachment and our identification with the body so that we can know who we really are. And this is the first step in self-realization. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum. Aum Namah Shivaya.